Welcome back to the Three Bears Podcast, everybody. This show is brought to you by ERT Radio, ERRT Radio, courtesy of Ron. Go over to Mixler.com and set up your account there so that way you can subscribe to ERT Radio, along with, in that way you could follow programming such as this one, the Three Beards Podcast, Into the Outer Realms, Uncensored with David Marine, and Dimension of the Supernatural. So they've got some music lineups as well. So definitely go check them out at ERT Radio. And so thanks you to Ron for that as a sponsor. So tonight we've got a great lineup. We got the Golden Corralios, and we got Jessica, the Cryptid Huntress, and Brian M. Bowden, our resident expertise in all things, and myself. Chris is out. He's hurt back, so everybody, thoughts on that one. But once again, the APB is out for the Ginger Squatch. So if anybody can find him, he's slumming around Leesburg, Howey in the Hills area, somewhere in Florida. So just if you're out there, it's a do not kill policy. It's just trank dart. Maybe he's kind of big. Kind of pushing north of 300. So he's going to be a large one to carry. So you might need two people to carry him in, but there is a reward for capture and bringing him back to the home. So on that note, we're going to talk all things cryptid. We're going to possibly talk about remote viewing. We even have a mystery story that Tom wants to tell us that he was saving just for the show. And so we're going to find that out too. So put up those comments, get those things going, and we are going to get this thing rolling, and that is going to be right now. Welcome to the Three Beards Podcast. My name is Craig, along with Austin and Chris.
Passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century.
Let me out.
Justice and honor in Massachusetts colony?
All right. Brian, who's here? We got at least one member. All right. And then, like I said, Tom is here. He's Carlito is supposed to be joining us. So this is Tom from North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project out of, I'm going to assume, North Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm not disclosing the actual location because I don't want him to get them mobbed by all those groupies.
Yeah.
Wife wouldn't care for that. That's then, as also in the room, Jessica, how are you?
Yep. Hey, y'all. I'm good.
Hey, the Cryptid Huntress. Find her on Spaced Out Radio and thecryptidhuntress.com. So check her out. Check her out definitely there as well. She's got a nice resume of, the name should give it away. She's into definitely, the cryptid genre as well. Bigfoot, Dogman. There's remote viewing, which we got the two corner squares into the remote viewing. So we don't have the center square for the block. So we don't. Yeah, soon.
Carlito once he gets there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no. So we've got. Before I get too far, I know we're gonna go through here. Tom, do you want to tell your story now? I've got a question for you. Yeah. So go for it.
So today I was driving home from work, just driving home my little work van, gallivanting down the street. Or actually, it was in Interstate 77, And it was this time of day. It's always traffic. It's really bad. It's bumper to bumper. It's kind of like everyone knows rush hour traffic on an interstate. Stop and go, stop and go. Well, at the corner of my eye, I'm looking at the left side of the lane, the oncoming traffic on the opposite side, and I see a big white pickup truck, like one of those big white industrial work trucks with the big bins on the sides of each side, something you see like utility van or utility truck. And I see the guy like losing control of it, and he's driving off into the dirt. And he drives over into the dirt, and instead of having a concrete divider on this part of the highway, there's actually a cable. It's two cables, and it just goes all the way down, and it has like little poles that hold the cable together. This thing barged through the cables, broke the cables, came onto my side of the traffic, and I saw this at the corner of my eye. Like my life was pretty much went before my eyes. If I was an atheist today, I would have been a believer in God. So I watched the truck barrel past the work van, hit the car behind me, mack it, and just smash it in two. The whole front of it destroyed. And I'm just kind of stepping as it goes with the traffic, following the traffic, and I dodged it like with the grace of my life. Here's a quick, if you can see. There's a truck right there. There's the work truck. See how the white work truck barreled the SUV behind me?
Wow.
So that was a definite divine intervention today. So I have to proclaim my faith in God. He saved me from getting my ass handed to me today, literally. So that's my crazy story for today. Like that was something. And I don't know if you know, but like a couple of years ago, I had a serious fatal accident too, where a kid hit my truck with a dirt bike, and he pretty much died on site. So I was trying to avoid any kind of fatality, to my head today, and disembodied on that, and thank God that I avoided it.
Oh yeah, we appreciate it. Yeah, that would not be the way I'd want to do the show.
Still talking about it just alone.
Sure, you don't want to do the show that way, Craig.
I would not want to have to start off with with a rest in peace quote, for Tom, because we just lost one of our dear friends.
Oh my gosh.
So they got that. That's. Woo.
Tom, your angels were watching over you today.
Yeah, definitely watching over me. And there was just so much. Like my wife had she almost got into an accident today around the same time, and I didn't know about it like an hour before my thing. So it's almost like accident bound today. It's just like what worse thing can happen on a Wednesday than just like two dodged accidents. It's crazy.
That's
oh my God.
crazy.
Something in the water today or something. Like I lost my German Shepherd today for 2 hours.
Oh no.
And I found, it was crazy. She ran off and got lost in a pasture with tall grass. And I found her. It's fine. It wasn't near fatal or anything.
No, that's good. That's good too. Oh.
But still, it was like, that's my baby, it sucked.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, nothing like turn around. It's like, where's the dog?
Where's my dog? And she had on like her full like tactical gear with like her harness and her collar and all that stuff. And
you do like a GPS tag on them? On her?
I will now. I will now. I didn't, but yeah. I remote viewed her. Actually, I remote viewed it. I actually called my mentor and the head of my team who taught me remote viewing, and we pretty much kind of located her. And we knew that she was around the property, of course, and it was wild. Actually, it was my mom bringing her dog over. Her dog kind of lured her out, of the pasture. So we found her. It was all good. Crisis diverted.
Regarding this, Jessica, do you have, when you're too close to a subject, you find it more difficult to actually remote view, and you have to employ a third party?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Today I did. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I'm just validating. I mean, I've had this discussion with other people that are psychics as well as remote viewers, and I'll get that call like in the middle of something. I'm shopping. Yeah. I gotta go.
Is that just due to the emotional? Yeah, the emotions don't allow you to be clear. They like the clear. Is that why?
I was too nervous. My adrenaline was pumping, and I was just my mind. Remote viewing is about controlling your mind.
Yeah.
And when something like your dog or a child goes missing or just something like that, it's hard to focus. If I had taken the time to sit down and really meditate on it and focus, I could have. But I was so frantic trying to find it was my dog, so.
I mean, it's really a tough thing. Like, maybe we could actually use Jessica tonight and myself to, find somebody that's been missing for a while.
Tonight?
Yeah. I just shared the screen, and hopefully you guys will put it up there.
Yeah. No, like I said, it'd be one of those. Did you share it with me?
I'm sharing, but I said share screen, and it's Austin.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. I got you. No, have you seen
him?
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Is that a milk carton?
Yes. He's got him on a milk carton
right now while we're playing around.
Yeah, he's with the stuff like he's doing with Fire School. It's like he's not on show, so that's just like a running joke. He's MIA. We don't know where he's at. So
I think he's going to James Bond school. I mean, it's fire school.
Yeah, he's going to be a firefighter. So
is that somebody you guys know?
Austin, he's one of the beards.
He's the original.
Okay, I couldn't tell who it was. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I thought maybe he was at the Golden Corral. I don't know.
No. He could be. I don't know.
Carlito right now.
Yeah. Carlito, like I said, he should be joining us.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts because we all have these things, right? Phones, right? And you can do podcasts with them. You can just sit there at the Golden Corral and chow down while you're, This
there
is the again, Carlito.
There he is.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here. I made it.
He's in the kitchen.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to run to Walmart real quick because, man, my back hurts. My back is hurting, and I had to go get some backache pills to help me out with that.
Lidocaine, man. You get you some lidocaine, that stuff, the roll-on.
Yeah.
I thought that was Texas code for weed.
Yeah. I had to go to the back of Walmart to get some of that back relief pills.
There you go. Behind the alley. How's everybody doing? Hi, Jessica.
Good.
Hey, Tommy.
Nice to meet you.
Yes. Welcome
here, thank you.
Yeah. I know one of those. It's like I was waiting for Tom, Carlos, and everybody to get here.
Yeah.
So one of the things we had a question from one of the people, Sarah. Where are your guys' feelings on the possibility that Bigfoot is 2D?
Nope.
Is what? 2D?
Two-dimensional. And that's why, like, the elusive, that there's like an elusive quality, like why you can't see it. Because that was a question that it's that there's more of like an elemental quality to them. Like there's no. Where I guess it would be like the mist type thing, that there wouldn't be a 3D quality to it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So like in the supernatural one, and that's what it would almost be. I'm thinking like holograms. What I'm picturing in my head, that's what it would look like. There wouldn't be a 3-dimensional quality to it.
Well, they have eight-dimensional.
It depends. Yeah, I think
interdimensional.
I think it totally depends. I think that there's some Bigfoots that are highly developed, psychically and things like that. And I think that some can. I think that they could be interdimensional, personally, myself. I think they're also flesh and bone and all that kind of stuff. But there's some that are living in the 5D, just like some humans and stuff. I mean, I think some of them are more advanced than even humans. And I think some of them are just like primates in the woods looking for food all day, So it's a mixed bag. I do believe there's a supernatural element to them, though, for sure. I don't doubt that. I know, because I've been researching for a long time.
That's actually a tough one for me. I have never thought about that, Craig. Thank you for bringing that up. But honestly, man, I don't know where to go with that. Honestly, I think Brian would be the best option for that answer, man, because he can probably give you a better, more intricate answer to that, or explanation, not to say.
So I was originally flesh and blood until I had an experience, and the only way you can move from point A to point B to about 2 miles down in an instant is if you create a portal, you open the portal up, and you go in through it. So at that point, I went interdimensional, and it does explain a lot, because if I did study quantum physics and astronomy, and I was going to be an astrophysicist, or if Al Santoriga had said an asshole physicist. Thanks, Al. But you know, that's the only explanation I can figure out, and I think it's innate within them. So they're able to go and straddle physical as well as interdimensional and change their component and their energy structure. But on top of that, when we're talking about these things, as far as them using their, you know, call it mind speak, telepathy, whatever you want to call it, usually there's a hierarchy that will, and it goes from like the leader to the, you know, the mother to, and it goes down, and there's always a point person of the clan that's going to initiate the conversation if they so desire. A lot of times it's done via female versus male, but I don't think it's a female dominant, a matriarch as much as a patriarch. I just think everybody has a certain role, and it's less aggressive that way. So, but they do come in different forms, not only in mind speak when you're in the woods, but people have had visions of them elsewhere. So I don't think
Other animals too.
Which one?
Other animals too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know Chris has had a hurt back too, but he's like said, so it's kind of a theme here. So yeah, hopefully it's not a contagion. So we got 2 people that are suffering from back pain. What's going on?
Go see a chiropractor. That's your best friend. Is I go to a chiropractor once a week, and I get adjusted, and I feel like a new man after every Tuesday after work. I get adjusted, snap, crackle, pop. They do my back, my neck, everything, legs, and much better. But I got something to say about that. I think from seeing the Encounter Quest, the seminar Bigfoot conference they had in North Carolina a couple weeks ago, I was luckily I was privileged to meet with Ron Moorhead like a week after I interviewed him, but he made something very clear and more understandable for those who don't understand quantum physics, where he mentions like that these beings can transform from energy to matter and then matter back to energy, which pretty much correlates the whole Einstein's theory of relativity. So it makes a lot of sense if you think about it, how energy can transform from matter and back over to energy. And that's the whole, shape-shifting portals and going from, a footprint to being gone and all that. So,
and something very interesting to just right off of you a little bit on Tommy. When energy transforms from one substance to the next, first of all, it needs a lot more energy to convert the energy. Mm-hmm. That's why you get a lot of more drain on all these equipments.
Yep, batteries.
Dead, right? Mm-hmm. And then in the process, when it converts from A to B, what usually happens is usually a burst or a spark in the final conversion into that form. So you're going to see the orbs. Mm-hmm. You're going to see different lights. You're going to see flashes of light. But I also believe they can travel in that form until they go and change their molecular from that energy into a molecular state or subatomic. And that's when they go interdimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one. Like for Suchi's saying, yeah, that what your husband says is a cure for a backache. That's a cure all for pretty much everything.
Yeah,
that takes your mind off anything, pretty much anything.
There's something better for that too, but I just can't say it on here. It's something you smoke, but yeah.
Yes, the stuff that, like you said, you buy at the back of the Walmart. Not
there. You go.
From through the front door.
And I did want to add to that. After Tommy and Brian, now thinking about it, that like I said on one of my last shows, I can't remember that I was a guest on. I think it might have been Shane's West Coast Dogman Project podcast, and I explained to him that I think this is my theory, that I think there's like 5 types of these beings, which would be Bigfoot and Dogman, which is the first one's like spiritual. The second one is like supernatural, which would include the werewolf transformation thing. The third one would be interdimensional, where they go in and out of portals. The fourth one would be flesh and blood, and where they're here all the time, and they dwell in cave systems, like they're here on Earth all the time, 24/7. And then the fifth one would be the demonic. Oh, and another one that Tommy had actually reminded me on that show, which would be the militarized super soldiers. That those are all possibilities. To me, those are all possibilities. And because I start off obviously way back in the day. I started off with just the European folklore, which was the werewolf, transformation type, and then until I found out that these things were flesh and blood also, as in Dogman. And so now I'm more on the Dogman, flesh and blood, or interdimensional than the werewolf spectrum of it. Yeah.
Now that you brought that up too, that was a question I was going to pose to everybody, and I'll start with Jessica on this one. So we've noticed probably, I'd say within the last decade, there's been a massive explosion of sightings, reports of dogmen in the area. People are seeing this thing. For me, you're going to have your legitimate sightings. You're going to have these ones, but we went from like dozens to thousands of reports of seeing these things. What is your feeling that there's a correlation between the reintroduction of wolves into the woods? Because there's going to be a lot of people that have never seen a wolf. They've seen a coyote. They've seen dogs. Basically, for people, like a really good like you have, I think you said you have a lab. Is that what you have, Jessica?
I have a German Shepherd.
German Shepherd. So that's even better. A wolf to your German Shepherd would be a comparison of your German Shepherd to a Chihuahua.
Right. They're huge.
They're huge. And so if anybody sees one like up on a tree or something, like it is going to be reminiscent of a movie out of, a werewolf. You're going to see this thing in the woods. And so that was one of the things I wanted to pose to everybody is what are your thinkings that some of these sightings are just a simple explanation of we have seen a wolf because you've never seen it before. It's giant.
There's a lot of misidentification, not only in the Dogman field, but the Bigfoot field as well. Like today when my German Shepherd went missing, when my mother finally got a glimpse of her about 2 hours after she'd been gone, she thought that my dog was a bear in the water trying to swim. Okay. She literally, because we have bears in our area over here in Northwest Georgia. And it was my dog. There's a lot of misidentification that goes on. So that could absolutely be what's going on with a lot of this. But I also know that, we have werewolf reports here in the county where I live. In Northwest Georgia, there's been constant reports of a werewolf or a dogman in the northern part of our county. And just recently, over the past year, we've had a couple who ran into what they swear that it was not a wolf, it was a werewolf. They hit it with their car on the road right here where I live. Okay. Wow. So, and they said they know the difference between a wolf and a dog and all that kind of stuff. It was a werewolf. It was like a dog man, basically. So, there has to be a whole lot of misidentification, but there's also not a lot of misidentification. Okay. Like, your rational brain wants to think, oh, that's a wolf a lot of times, when it's not actually a wolf. So that's all I can say about that. I think that there's been what some people call like a thinning of the veil over the past couple of years, like since 2020 at least. I don't think there is a veil anymore. Okay. I think that we are seeing a lot of an uptick in cryptid sightings, UFO reports, all that kind of stuff, because the Earth's vibration has changed. Okay. Like there's the Earth's vibration is rising, the frequency is rising. And with that, there are people who are able to see these things. I think a lot of them have always been here, but now more people are able to see them for whatever reason because of the energetic frequencies that we're experiencing on this plane right now, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Let me ask you a quick question. Where you're located? Two questions. One, did you ever reach out to the couple that hit the dog man? And if so, did you go down there and say, "Can I take a look at your car and take some samples?" Because I've had deer run into my car in upstate New York. Like it hits your car, boom, and you get hair on it. So you can pull some hairs out. And two, how close are you to some major university within the state, whether it's your state or the surrounding states?
Okay, first of all, I got that report way after it happened. My sister actually, and some very close friends of mine as well, work for the sheriff's department in the county where I live. And she used to be the lead dispatcher for 911. And so, of course, I'm not going to say I got all the reports, whatever, because that would get her in trouble. But I did get some.
inside
scoop. Pass down the grapevine. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't say it was a report.
Right.
It was like, oh my God, some couple hit a werewolf.
Sheriff's deputies and stuff. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of those people through my sister and my family. So yeah, they know I'm a Bigfoot field researcher. So like they'll pass the information down to me. Now that came a little later than after it happened. So I wasn't able to do that. And they can't give their personal information to me for whatever reason.
I totally hear that. I was just wondering if it was like,
yes, I wish
closer, because it would have been great to be able to get a sample, because they probably have hair on their front dash, which is now meaningless because it's been so long. But as far as the universities are concerned, by near where you're located, are there any major universities?
Well, not where my home is. Okay. Well, where I live. Okay. I just moved, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I just moved, and there is a university here. It is known for their parapsychology department, and there is a portal around this area somewhere, from what I've been told. Okay. Wow. Where there's a lot of high strangeness here in West Georgia. Okay. Now I gotta say, I went to Georgia State University up here near Atlanta, and we have Georgia Tech. The Georgia Institute of Technology is in Atlanta. Now, there are rumors that there is a large hadron collider underneath that college. Okay.
There is. Every
Yeah.
university has a collider. It's actually very important in the research, because ever since the collider started.
Interesting.
Well, the first collider that ever went off was in Illinois, Fermilab Lab. And they ramped it up really quick, and they shut it down really quick. And around the year they shut it down is when the Mandela effect took place. So my theory is that they created a rip in time space, not just our timeline, but multiple timelines around us. And when they glued them back together, we have the original timeline we were on, and then the tail end of another timeline, which parallels our timelines. Mm-hmm. So, it's just the way it is. And I think because it wasn't seamed up properly, that's why you're allowing all these interdimensional beings to be able to get access here, and why you're seeing it, because every university now runs a collider.
Well, so I do know that when they first turned that one on, I lived in downtown Atlanta at the time, and from what I've been told through rumors, let's just say, I don't know for sure. I can't state that this is fact, but when it was turned on, we had an uptick in violence and violent crimes in Atlanta. From in Georgia Tech University, it's underneath an area we call Home Park. Okay, and violent crimes went through the roof at that time. It was said that like dark entities came out of this collider thing. Okay, and it opened up some kind of a big portal, and it was a total mess. Okay, a total mess. Wow. So I do believe, we know that there's actually another hadron collider up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, in the Oak Ridge Labs. From what I've been told. Yeah. So, and that's just north of us. So they're all over the place, unfortunately.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that Stranger Things is actually a little bit of predictive programming.
Yep.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The upside down world.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Before we get too far, I want to let Tom and Carlito answer this one too, because that's I said the same question. It's like,
yeah. What was the question again?
That was the one about what do you think of the possibility that it's actually, there's a lot of wolf encounters that are being mistaken for dogmen, because that's one of the things. Right. When I was growing up, nobody heard of a dogman. It was werewolf. You heard but then all of a sudden these things just pop out of nowhere, and now everybody's seeing, I'm seeing dogmen. But at the same time, there was also the reintroduction of wolves from Canada into an area where there's never been one before. And if you've never seen one, those things are huge. They are big, big, big.
Luckily, I didn't get to see one of those things out in Canada when I had my encounter, luckily. But that being said, I think that it's kind of a combination of everything, with frequency and vibration, like Jess was saying, the earth, on a different frequency, the rising of consciousness. Also with, if you go back to the biblical terms, in the days of Noah, the beasts of the earth shall return. So those are considered beasts of the earth. They're returning, and, they were created for whatever, for havoc. So maybe it is a sign of the days to come, and the end of days. In my opinion, that's partially an answer. I'm pretty sure everyone else pretty much answered between Brian and Jessica and you pretty much what else I would say. So I don't want to, just repeat what y'all said, but that's my take on it. So yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Well, my take on it is that yes, I believe you are correct, Craig, about the wolves that people don't know about. Being reintroduced into the forests. That could be a very big part of it. Although there's also another part of it which I've said for a long time. The frequency. Tommy knows this. Jessica just mentioned it. I didn't know she knew about that either. But I've been saying it for a long time. The frequency that people are starting to go into. I explained it in one of the other shows where the frequencies if your frequency's low, then you can't really see that much, into the interdimensional world or spiritual or demonic or any of that. But if you raise your frequency and your frequency is high, like say 700, 800, then yeah, you're going to be able to tap into those things. And I even included, and maybe Brian can correct me on this, but I even included if you reach like maybe the 700 to 900 frequency, then maybe you can even tap into astral projection. And so I think the frequency has a lot to do with it. The frequency and vibration, I've been saying this for many years. It's all about the frequency and vibration for these sightings that people are able to see these things, these beings, these creatures. And so I think it does have to do a lot with frequency, like Jessica said and Tommy said, and vibration, that they're starting to see a lot more real dogman sightings now, besides the other 50% of the wolves that you mentioned, Craig. But yeah, that's why I think there's a lot more dogman sightings today than there was in the say 60s, 70s or something like that. So that's my take on that.
Something important about frequency that you should understand is that when you take two different tuning forks, mm-hmm. and one will be higher frequency of resonance, and you hit them together, the more powerful frequency, the higher the frequency, the vibration, eventually that other tuning fork will start vibrating at the same frequency. And here's what's very interesting about this. I think we've all had reports of people seeing UFOs in a crowd, and they're the only ones. Don't you see the UFO? It's right there, and no one sees it because of
the frequency. Yeah,
right. Each one of us has our own individual frequency, and we're made of it's an electric field that goes around us. Mm-hmm. And these beings, they just like Sasquatch and some of the other beings, they can target you specifically because they can tune into you like a radio dial. And that's why some see it and some don't. But as far as the wolves are concerned, it's a possibility. But I don't, there's a real big difference between a dogman and even a coy wolf.
Well, but if you think about it too, Brian, if you see let's say 4 to 5 foot long regular, wolf or timber wolf stand up on a tree like he's trying to get something, you see it from the back, you're going to see a 7-foot creature standing up. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Now, right? But now, flip it around, right? Now, turn that wolf around and have him standing towards you without having to support on anything. Then that's a completely different story. You know what I mean?
There are animals in the wild that have been known to stand on their hind legs. I mean, it very well could be a bear, because bears do walk around on their hind legs a lot.
Yeah, they do.
It depends on the report and if they describe this animal, because there are descriptions of some of these creatures. You can't mistake that. It looks like something out of Underworld, and yes, you could have a growling dog. I mean, the Leonberger at 6 months old is almost 6 feet tall sitting. It's a huge puppy. Okay. Yeah. That thing stands up. You're talking about a couple 100 pounds. It's big. Even German Shepherds, some of the bigger ones. This one of my buddies has a German Shepherd down here. It looks like a werewolf. It does. It has that. It's all black, and when it stands up, and it, if you didn't know what you were seeing, and it was showing its.
It's kind of like you remind me, Brian. I'm pretty sure all of you here have seen it, and people in the chat as well. That lady police, sitting down, squatting down with her. What was it? It looked like a werewolf, but it was it was a German Shepherd, black, like Brian said. And what it is when they took that picture, he was about to sneeze. That's why his face is like that. They explained it why. Yeah, yeah, it does. Looks like he's grinning, just showing his teeth. Yeah. But it was actually because he was going to sneeze. That's the story behind that. I'm like, wow. Okay.
I don't know if you guys see the question there from Vicky. What do you guys think about the correlation between parallel lines and interdimensional spots?
I mean, I think that ley lines I think that if you're talking about parallel lines being like longitude, latitude, or ley lines, I don't know. Ley lines absolutely do cover like interdimensional spots, portals, things like that. One of my teams has experienced, well, two of my teams actually have experienced portals. One of my teams documented a portal, and that area perhaps does sit on a ley line. Okay. Those ley lines do connect very crazy areas of high strangeness all over the globe. So I think there is a correlation personally from experience.
And then I also had from prior to the show, there was a chat. One guy, he kind of brought it up. He does, his name is Thomas. He does a lot of research around triangles, like the Bridgewater. I think it's the OCP. I think is how you say that. Triangle. He does a lot of these ones. Do you think that there? I don't know this for a fact. For anybody that help me out there. Is there a lot of this type of thing, like crossover of ley lines and stuff that occur in these triangles, and that's what makes these such a hot spot? Because it seems like such an arbitrary thing, where if we take Farmer Bob's pasture and we go over here by this house, and then we go over to here, we have a triangle. It seems really random, but if you actually correlate these points, you start seeing these things. So I mean, does there seem to be these ley line and these portal openings in these triangles that people keep seeing?
I think so. I mean, the two most famous triangles I know of are the Alaska Triangle and the Bermuda Triangle. And I know for sure there are ley lines going through both. So perhaps.
The Bridgewater is my favorite one. That's the Pukwudgie. You see the Pukwudgie a lot in there in Massachusetts.
There's more than Pukwudgies in that place.
And
what have you. But it also, here's my opinion. I think there is a correlation to both, but I think it also depends on the location, because I think things have been on this earth long before we've been here, millions of years ago, and we're recently discovering these items that look just like cell phones being dug up that are 4 million years old. That I don't think we're the first civilization here, nor the last, and that have advanced. So I think there may be things that if you were to melt everything, and I know for a fact I've remote viewed it. If you in that Alaskan triangle, if you were able to melt everything there, like spin the earth so it's below the equator at that point, you're going to see a lot of hills, but you're going to see a ginormous, literally black triangle that's there under the surface. And that alone has energy around it that is causing magnetic problems and opening portals. So there's a lot more to that. But Bridgewater is just, it's kind of odd that all these things, come together at that one spot. But like you said, Jessica, when you started opening, then they started opening up these portals, all these strange things happened. A lot more aggressive, aggression has taken place, or crimes or whatever. It's never really anything positive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're playing around with things they don't know. Well, I don't think they knew initially, but I think there's a lot of good and evil battles taking place right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, Jessica, don't you live in have you heard of these underground tunnels in Atlanta that all connect, like these crazy underground like cities, and possibly reptilian beings living underground in downtown Atlanta? I mean, I've heard this a couple times. You're muted.
Is she muted?
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted. I was trying to mute myself. Yeah, we do have a place that's known called Underground Atlanta. And it used to be a hot spot where all the clubs were and people would go down there. And they've tried to revitalize it, but it's just a lot of crime, basically, at this point. So, as a matter of fact, there was a mass shooting today in Atlanta, I believe. I don't watch the news. But yeah, not only do we have this underground tunnel system under Atlanta, we have under Georgia Tech, potentially there's a large hadron collider down there. So there's a whole lot of weird crap going on around Georgia, around Atlanta, all over the North Georgia mountains. I mean, I do research of Bigfoot all over the South, and the highest concentration of Bigfoot are in the North Georgia mountains, from my experience. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on here. In West Georgia, there's talk of a lot of different portals and things like that are well known. There's a lot of high strangeness over here. A lot of Civil War battles have happened from the remote viewing that I've done of the North Georgia mountains with the Chickamauga battlefield, with Old Green Eyes, this cryptid from up there, from Corpsewood Manor. This place is super haunted, a.k.a. the Devil Worshippers Mountain. There's a lot of high strangeness going on around here. And we also have an area that we research in Middle Georgia near West Point Lake called the Troop Herd Corridor, where it's very well known for alien abductions, dogman, Bigfoot sightings, all that, just super, super high strangeness all over Georgia. So, yeah, I don't have to drive far to go have some high strangeness.
I'll tell you, when I drive back to New York and I got to go through Georgia, and I'm not kidding you when I say it, I hate going through Georgia.
Why?
No offense to the Georgians out there. There's something about that state that just rubs me the wrong way. And I've never No, I'm just saying there's a weird feeling and vibe you get going through the state.
There could be. I feel you.
I mean, I remember there's a place up in upstate New York, Route 301, I believe it is, and it's like a one-lane bridge underneath a railroad trellis. And every time we used to go there to visit a friend who lives around the corner who was an experiencer, even if my wife was sleeping, she'd wake up and go, well, where are we? She'd know she was in the bridge. There's certain vibes you get on people, on animals, and on locations. Now, I could just be going through an area that has high concentration of energy, and it's just bouncing me off, and I can't get through it. So I'd like to stop in Georgia and actually see it.
Might be worth a shot.
It's a lovely state, though. Otherwise, there's so much high strangeness here. I just happen to know all the good spots, I think. So I stay away from all those creepy areas. I mean, creepy is in like bad. I like creepy in a good way, but not what you're talking about.
Vicky just mentioned something too, and it's kind of that we've talked a couple times through some of our different sort of shows about this. What out of everybody in the panel, I don't care who starts with this one. What are your thoughts on that? That this is through the thinning of the veil, that part of the reason why we don't have bone records, we don't have this stuff, is that these are literally just crossings over. They come in, they come out. They pop in, they pop it. They're jumping in and out. That's why we see them for a time, and now we don't ever see them again. That's why we don't find bodies. We don't find the stuff that should be, the evidence that should be there from these creatures. And do you think that's what's kind of going just across the board? That's why we're, chupacabra, Bigfoot, dog. We're just seeing this thing that these are basically from a parallel that just through the thinning, they just keep crossing over, and we just keep having this interaction. And the 411 missing people, there's, Bob is over there, with the skeleton in his hunting gear because he got trapped over on the other side.
Yeah, I'd like to start off with that, Craig. I actually think it has a lot to do, and this might even answer everyone's question on why we're seeing a lot more dogman sightings and whatever. I think it has a lot to do with the CERN Hadron Collider that they opened up, or accidentally, or intentionally opened up a portal or portals. It could be multiple portals they could have opened up ever since they started messing with that thing. And as far as we know, they've been messing with that thing for maybe, 30, 40 years or something. But it may be more, I'm sure more than that. But as far as we know, it's been just that long. But who knows? It could be a lot longer. It could be 100 years since they've been messing with that Hadron Collider at CERN, So I think that's a big part of what has to be, has to do with the increase on these encounters. That's my opinion on that.
There's a lot of timeline deception going on these days. A lot of time manipulation, let's just say, and so. I think it has something to do with CERN, and I agree with that. Now, I personally don't think that Bigfoot's taking all these missing people. I think I'm going to say more sinister, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but I think that it's not Bigfoot necessarily. I think I'm going to go out and say like agencies or something like, I believe that our government, or maybe it's not our government, maybe it's just some kind of agency, some faction, okay, has access to portal technology, okay? And I think that is one way that a lot of these missing people are going missing. They are being swallowed up in these little portals, and they're being put underground in these bases or interdimensionally taken somewhere, like the secret space program or something. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have the answers to that, but I don't think it's all Bigfoot and Dogman. I think that those do apply to a lot of the cases, but I think that there's something else going on there. But that's my opinion.
Yep.
I would agree, because I've mentioned it a couple times. Like, for anybody that's watched the show Fringe, I'm a cinephile, by the way. For anybody, I'm a huge cinema person. So TV shows, movies, I'm always going to do these references. So Fringe, I think they actually hit on the theme that was pretty good, where it was just they were able to create basically a doorway.
Yeah.
And for a brief moment, you're able to walk in and out. And that's why, whether this is intentional or not, this could be through government experimentation. These things could be opening up. And we have something, the Dogman could be a normal canine creature in this side, and they come over and they don't, this is something that they don't belong. They don't, the frequency is different, everything. That's why things look off. It's just because they are not supposed to be here. In the same way, where these missing hikers, they do the same thing. You're walking through the woods, and all of a sudden you're just walking through trees, and all of a sudden you look around and things are off, but you can't go back because you are stuck on the other side.
I mean, there's plenty of examples of portals just opening up out of the blue. There was a guy from French part of Canada that was a ski instructor, first aid, whatever they call him. They was doing training in New York State on, I forgot what the mountain was. And he was there. And basically what happened is he said, there's a big storm coming. I'm coming down. And he went through the storm and he disappeared. So they sent out a search party for him for a long while, a couple of days. And eventually he showed up in California.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't know where the hell he was. He had no money because everything's in the hotel room. He made a collect call to his wife saying, where am I? Where am I calling from? I don't know. He had to ask where he was. And they questioned how he got there. But this is the same incident in Florida, where there was a guy leaving from the Bahamas to fly back. Takes about an hour. He reported a purple fog, goes through the fog, and in 15 minutes, he's here in Miami Tower. Like, who are you? Where did you come from? Mm-hmm. So there are these different portals. So I think sometimes when you get into the wide open and you get all this wind moving and energy that way, that can create a vortex in a portal. I don't believe all this stuff is, owned by Bigfoot or Dogman. I mean, and if you don't think Bigfoot eat meat. That's what they do. They eat meat. They eat vegetables, but all's fair in love and war out there. But I think there may be another entity or being that is on the other side that can go, oh, I want that, and then open the door, pull them in, and then they're done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't want to go through that portal.
No, me neither.
It would be one of those, you didn't have a choice, because it's like you could just be walking in the woods, and all of a sudden these tentacles just come flying out of nowhere and just pull you in like it's a trap.
That's a real threat out there, and I do a lot of boots on the ground research out in the field, and so my team actually, after we experienced what we consider to be a portal out in the field, we had to come up with a protocol in case we ever encounter something like this ever again, and it's not something that we could see with our naked eye. A cube showed up in the middle of this field out of nowhere, and it was only seen through FLIR, thermal imaging cameras and stuff like that. So. These things are invisible. It's an invisible threat. Okay. And we sent 2 guys in to go check it out. Their heat signatures disappeared when they walked up to it. And when they walked out of it, they described exactly what happened. When they walked out of it, their heat signatures reappeared. And then this thing shrunk down and it disappeared right after they walked out of it. So if they had not gotten out in time, they might have not made it back out. It was just weird stuff. We don't have an explanation for it really, other than to say it might be a portal.
If let's say we have different dimensional rips that are taking place from this, our dimension timeline to another, whatever, then technically, even though you're walking in, you kind of can see them. You can see them physically, because at one point, I believe that it's explained scientifically. I'm not going to get into equations right now, but it's almost like a mirror of yourself.
Get out the whiteboard.
Yeah, get out the whiteboard. Well, it's a square of pi divided by. So when you walk in there, when your investigators walked into that portal, they were in there, and you were seeing a reflection of them, and that's why you can't see a heat signature off the reflection. But when they step back out, then that's what happened. I'm sure whoever's on the other side of that saw all you coming, like, who are these people? Like, run, hide behind the cube.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I wanted to add a little bit to that. Maybe it could be the mention before Hadron Collider with CERN that opened up, and I really do think this, because guys, you might call me crazy, but I believe 100% in Mandela effect, because I remember a lot of shit from the 80s that is different now. 100%. And I could swear on my own, man, on my life, on my daughter's life, I could swear on anything you want that those things were that, and now there's something else. So
Shazam.
Yeah, Shazam's one of them. I know for a fact there was a kid in school that nicknamed me Shazam, because supposedly to him I looked like him, right? And I was like, what? Shit, man, you crazy? That dude's all ugly and fat and whatever, right? Talking about Sinbad, yeah. There you go, thank you. And I was like, man, forget you, whatever, right? And I remember that really good, because every time he seen me, he called me that. Shazam, hey Shazam, man, fuck you, whatever, right? But but I remember it that much because of that, that's what helps me remember that. And now it's like it never existed or whatever, right? So it's like, but anyway, I don't want to get into too much detail on Mandela effect, but I think that really originally comes from the CERN Hadron Collider, mixing two time what do they call timelines or parallel universes, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of things that we used to not see coming from other timelines or other parallel universes, and vice versa. They're probably seeing a lot of stuff from our timeline.
This is why if you get up to a certain point, which is the late 1990s into the 2000s, that's when they really ramped it up at the Firm Lab. So everybody that was born up to that point and was knowing what's going on knows what they remember. But because we connected to another timeline where that did not exist, which is one of the possibilities of what happens, then the people born after that date, they'll say, you're crazy. There's never been a cornucopia. It's right there.
Yeah, so it was always there. It was always there.
In the cornucopia, I had
that was part of it.
Underwear with it on.
Yeah,
I remember fondly.
Yeah.
Different things. So that's how it's explained.
But you know what though, Brian? I've asked a couple of my friends from school, from junior high school, from elementary, high school, whatever. I've asked them if they remember that, and they say no, they don't. So I'm like, what the hell? You were raised with me. What do you mean you don't remember?
You're on different timelines. Is what it was.
That's crazy.
But now you're all together. Like, okay, for example, I am freaked out by this whole Chick-fil-A spelling, right? Like, I remember Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is a fast food restaurant down here in the South. And I remember it being spelled CHIK filet. Okay. And it was spelled like that the whole time they've been open, right? I've even been to the Chick-fil-A headquarters, okay, for work and stuff. And I remember going there, and now one day I woke up and it was CHICK filet. And it's like that today, and it freaked me out. Well, I kind of put it out there on a show I did about the Mandela effect, and I even remote viewed it, y'all. It was so bad. I was so upset about that. And it turns out there's a lot of people who remember it CHIC filet, okay? Yep. And then there's other people, oh, look at you. Oh, me dang. And there's a lot of people remember CHSCK. And so what we do is, like, now you can see, like, who was on which timeline by what you remember, okay? I swear that's kind of how I gauge people. Like, well, you were on that timeline, I was on this timeline, and they were on that timeline, because it was all different spellings, okay?
No, I don't know if it was on different timelines, but I think it's importance of what you're aware of. Like, if you've never played golf before, you don't give a damn where the golf courses are. You probably passed a dozen golf courses at one point in your life. You're like, so whatever, I don't play golf. But once you get into something, you start remembering it. Now with Carlito, people making fun of him, but people really didn't, no offense, Carlito, they didn't care about it, and they weren't caring about Shazam or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I was into girls at this point. I wasn't.
Yeah. They probably never seen it or whatever. Yeah.
But, I just think you have two different timelines that have been put together. And this explains a lot, because I don't know if Jessica's done this.
Well, you're right, Brian. I'm sorry to interrupt. You're right, Brian. Maybe those people never saw it like I did from my timeline, because they're not from my timeline.
But there may have been something that was important to them that you like. I don't know. I always thought of it was this. One of the things that I've noticed is, and every time they ramp up the colliders, this happens. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but I have a 98% accuracy rate with what I do. And I've given people, select individuals, readings, and I've helped them out. And the readings that are supposed to take place, certain X, Y, and Z are taking place. Told them, just continue with your life. It's going to, and we would get mile tick-offs, right? Mile markers. And when it got to a certain point, which is around the collider playing around with, everything stopped.
And see, another thing, sorry guys, if you ask anybody about the Mandela effect like me, they're gonna say, yeah, it had the cornucopia. Yeah, George had the tail. The Monopoly guy had the monocle. They'll tell you everything that I believe that it used to have. They're not going to say, oh, no, the monocle didn't have that, but the cornucopia did. And, no, they're not going to mix and match. They're going to say everything that I think that used to be there, and everything that people know that it's not there anymore. See what I'm saying?
Okay, but you also have to factor in the power of suggestibility, okay? And so if we've not learned anything over the past 2 or 3 years now, is that people will agree with whatever they're told, okay?
Right.
And I think that's kind of how this has gotten, people get away with this stuff. Whoever's doing all this crap, whoever the wizard is behind the curtain that keeps turning on these hadron colliders, whoever this is, they know that people are just going to go along with it and not ask questions, not even notice. Some of us do notice, though. But there's a lot of suggestibility where if you just say, well, this is this way because, they're going to agree with you just because they're going along with the herd, right?
Right. I mean, I remember when Tom was known as Thomas. I mean, I don't know what happened with that.
Right.
Yeah, then it turned into Tominator, then it turned into Tomahawk, and
too many
Tommy Boy. Too many
timelines. But real quick, I know Craig mentioned the show Fringe. If you remember that show Fringe, they actually projected portals and different parallel universes. But do you remember he was using sound near water to get to that parallel universe? And the funny thing was that show was very close to everything we're hearing about now. And that show was canceled after like 2-3 seasons. Because I think they maybe were putting too much truth out there and they got, wiped out. Just like Jesse Ventura, conspiracy theory. He was catching on some things that were like spot on that they talk about that happened now. And that this was mentioned 12 years ago and things were happening 2 years ago that they were talking about.
Right. Yep. There was another show growing up called Sliders. When they would jump into different timelines. They were able to dial it in, though.
I remember those. And
I thoroughly believe that we have the capability that is not being present within the government with black projects, the dark projects. And I thoroughly believe that we have the ability to manipulate timelines, jump into timelines and portals, and jump back. Whatever time
Looking Glass, Pegasus, Looking Glass, all that stuff.
Like that. Project like Pegasus.
You guys, just yesterday, the day before, I ran into the movie from 1997, Conspiracy Theorist, and I watched it, and I was laughing the whole time. I'm like, I wonder if that's how they see us, you know what I mean, with the conspiracy theories. It's just free on YouTube, by the way, right now.
All the newspaper paths going through their apartment. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
a great movie.
I think, to a point, yeah. I mean, I've always I don't know if I've ever told you guys, conspiracy theories, my rule of thumb has always been the more people that have to be involved, the less likely it is to be true.
Yes.
Because there's way too many people that you have to keep quiet. And so, like Area 51, there's way too many people coming out of that place for them to keep aliens secret. There's no alien bodies in Area 51. That's a testing. No. That's a testing facility. And that's one of those. And so there's different ones. Like we get down the whole rabbit hole, but that's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, one of the ones, like, what is your guys' explanation for a lot of the one-offs? These cryptids that are seen one time.
Frogman.
And like I said, and then they're never seen again. Because if they truly were a subterranean species, something that why do we not see them anymore? And he said the frogman was a great one. That's a great example. The Van Meter visitor. We don't see these again. So what is your guys' theories on why these are shown one time and then we never see them again?
Yeah, there's a lot of cryptids that come in and out of our reality, and Barry Littleton, my friend who comes on my show quite often, he and I talk about this a lot, and the only one I can remember right off the bat, we got the Loveland Frogmen, of course. Like I think Brian had just mentioned the Frogmen, but like Spring Hill Jack and stuff like that, just weird stuff. It was kind of here for like an era, like quickly, and then it just disappeared off the map, right? And so I don't really have an explanation other than that it was just some kind of interdimensional being or something. I don't know for sure, but there have been several of those over the centuries.
Yeah, I remember Brent and Solon talking about the Darrow people and the Mole Man, and they were things that were subterranean beings that lived underground, and I took a liking to it. But you only heard of it from him, and I've never heard of it since. So I wonder what's up with that. If y'all ever heard of that?
I have heard about Mole for years, but I didn't really follow it. Sorry.
Yeah, so kind of on that, we'll kind of go out and expand on that part. What do you guys think about? Do you think that there is a subterranean, basically civilizations, populations of these creatures that are the short-statured, and that's why throughout history we got leprechauns, we got gnomes, we've got all these. Throughout they've had different names. The Pukwudgie, we've had Loveland Frogmen, we've had these different things. Do you think they're all subspecies of kind of a generalized, creature, or do you think these are just multiple, smaller statured creatures that lives in some? I mean, for all we know, they're having wars down underneath us. But what do you think is that? What do you think is the possibility that there's an entire ecosystem of like these creatures beneath us, or is this one of those things, portals, they jump in and out?
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh God, I was ladies first. I'm trying to be a gentleman.
Right, Jess. Sorry, you're the guest
first.
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I mean, I don't have any answers to a lot of this stuff, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't know. I mean, I think I do believe in an inner Earth. I do think that there's a whole of the world down there underneath our feet. Okay, so it's totally anything is possible in my book. In my mind, and my research, anything's possible. I've seen some of the weirdest stuff I can't explain. So, I mean, there's a lot of stories of the little people. Fred Roll out of Alaska, Fred in Alaska talks about it quite often. The little people up there in Alaska. A lot of Native Americans have stories of the little people. One of my best friends, who's part of my team, his name is David Pardue out of North Carolina. He's with North Carolina. You might know him. He's from North Carolina, Tom. North Carolina Cryptid. Oh God, what's his name? No, that's yours. NCBB. Anyways, I can't remember the name of his group. I can't think. But he comes out with our team, and he has a video of little people in the woods, peeking out from behind a tree and running behind trees. And we kind of concluded that we think that they might be aliens. Okay, because we just don't know. We can just see their heat signatures. They're very clearly little people. Okay, like about a foot high. Okay, and he has a very clear video of these. You can only see their heat signatures, but you can tell they're little people. Now, they could be aliens. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
Well, let me put my input into that, Craig. I think that there's been many sightings of human-like creatures dwelling in the sewer systems and cave systems, and especially sewer systems, because there's been a lot of reports where people see, like, how when a tunnel comes out of a city goes all the way out to the outskirts of the city, and there's a tunnel, right, with like bars or something, to keep the trash out or whatever from coming in, and it's only like sewer water coming out, whatever. There's been many sightings of kids and teenagers, out there wandering, just riding their bikes or their motocross bikes or whatever, and they run into these things, and they even catch them on film, they with their phone or whatever. Hey, what is that? And you see a little creature, pale skin, no hair, like, just kind of like looking out from the thing, and as soon as he notices that they see him, he kind of just jumps back and hides or whatever. So there's been many in cave systems, the same thing. There's been underground caves that people, and mines, I've seen mines, guys going exploring and stuff, and they get to only so deep because they see a creature come out of one of the corners and like, oh, and they start backing out and panicky or whatever. And so there's a lot of cases where they see these human like type creatures, but they're not completely human. They're more, I would say, they're more like along the range of the rake, ish type of creature.
So they just recently found a cave in China. Mm-hmm. You can stick the island of Manhattan in, and literally skyscrapers, and you still have plenty of room. So the fact that there are places on the earth that we haven't discovered, or cave systems that would breed life, I think that it's just par for the course. We should expect that there's going to be some life there, but we also have different levels of inner earth, and certain things do better in certain levels. As far as the little people that were coming up, I mean, they could be on an inner earth level too, and then every once in a while when they need certain substance, they go up, they collect it, and they're so small that you're not even going to notice them. They pull it down, pull it into their system. You could have, there are extraterrestrials that have been here for a while, are interdimensional. They're inner earth extraterrestrials that have been here for a while in the cave systems. Bigfoot, I'm sure, uses the cave system just like the Dogman does. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's a variety of different entities and beings. But as far as the Fae is concerned, like the elves and the woodland creatures and the elementals, I think they operate in a totally different plane, and they can make themselves appear and disappear. I mean, I used to have a video from one of my friends who makes movies, and he showed me this video, and they're just hanging out. They're walking. It's them walking from one area to another in the backyard. I forgot where they were. I don't know. No, they weren't in Texas. They were in on the East Coast someplace. And there is a brown fairy that's there, and it comes out, and if you don't pay attention, you would never notice it. But it's really small. It's very quick, and it comes in, and it goes out. It runs out when it sees them. It wasn't expecting to see them because they were in a part of the forest that normally doesn't get human traffic. So, Who knows?
Makes
sense.
Sense.
Little people.
A lot of these too. People are I got to go after this, so I'm just gonna make this real quick because I got to run. But a lot of people are seeing these crawler beings, but the one main description is they're all pale. They have like black eyes and sharp teeth. Well, if you lived underground and you're never exposed to the sun, your skin's going to be really pale. Mm-hmm. You're going to have really dark eyes, so you can see it in the dark.
In the dark, right?
Yep. And then your teeth are going to be, you're going to have sharp teeth because you're going to have to be able to be carnivorous to eat whatever you can get whatever meal you can get for nourishment. So that makes sense to me that they're seeing the description of that being has that those attributes because it lives underground, or maybe it's like in a deep underground tunnel system, besides just underground, but like burrowed down, like in these caverns.
Yeah, absolutely, Tommy. And you know what? The adding to that, Tommy, there's like in the Japanese folklore, how they have many depictions, dragons, ghosts, and all this, like floating heads, stuff like that. They also have that creature where he's pale and he looks like a malnourished, crazy guy, and they kind of walk like this too. They kind of wiggle around while they're walking. Well, they were supposed to be like dwelling in cave systems, and it absolutely makes sense what Tommy just said about the no sun, about seeing in pitch black darkness. So yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that, Tommy.
Well, I say good night to my crew.
Yes. Go follow the North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project.
Thank you, everybody.
As the other Mandela effect people know him as, Thomas.
Yes. Only the select few know the other Tom. So yeah.
Yeah. The Thomas one doesn't have a beard. That's how you know the difference.
There you go. Yeah.
That's right.
Well, y'all have a good night. Good night, Jess.
Good night, Tommy.
Tell the family hello, sir.
Good to see you.
Good night, Tommy.
Yeah, there's a couple of people in there. Laura just said, "I hope I never see a rake." Yeah, I don't want to see a rake either.
Yeah, me neither. I'd be
I
okay
wasn't
if I
too
don't.
thrilled about the dog man until Al in there is like, "You got to see this; it's real." And then you know,
that's what and that was kind of one of the questions in a way. Since you guys said that, it's a great one. I'll start with Jessica. The cryptid creature, or whatever that you do want to meet, the cryptid creature that you absolutely love, and then the one that you absolutely hope that you never see. That even the picture on in a book is too close.
Okay, well, I mean, of course, I would like to see up close, like face to face with a Bigfoot. I would love just Bigfoot. They seem super awesome and cool, the ones that I've encountered so far, but I've only seen them from a distance. Okay, and I've only experienced them. I have not had an up close and personal encounter with them in the 3D, let's just say. I think the most terrifying cryptid would be like a mermaid or merman. Somebody sent me a video. I don't know if y'all saw this. It's something from a TikTok this week of like it looked like army guys, like some soldiers that were like hanging out, and like a merman allegedly grabbed one and like took him underground, like took him under the water and then threw his body back or something. It was weird. I'm not into like the mermaid stuff. I'm not into that. So I'm not super into sea creatures too much, but I'm more, land-locked cryptids. I'm into those. I wouldn't mind meeting a dog man if it was nice, or at least indifferent, I'm actually out there looking for them, so,
Yeah.
I'm down.
You'll
down.
stop once you find one. No.
Yeah, right.
Well, same thing, Carlito. What about you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, man. I think the one I would absolutely love to meet, and hopefully it would be benign, as in being a good guy, would be a Bigfoot. I would love to meet him because I think that's the closest relative to us humans, as far as more so than just a regular monkey or gorilla or chimp. These guys actually have the wits and smart as us, if not even more. So I would love to meet one and communicate with it, and have a conversation like, where do you come from? Have you always been here? Have you been here before us? Where did we come from? Were you here when we got here to this planet? I'd love to ask them those types of questions and see what it would, reply. And, that's the one I would absolutely love. And the one I would absolutely hate to encounter would be a dogman, because of the reaction I would get, and it would get out of my reaction. I think it would become a violent, interreaction. I think, me being in primal fear, mode, I'm going to either want to kill it, or I'm either going to want to run and it's going to kill me, or one of the two. That's just me being real about the situation, because I know for women it's different because of their hormones, especially if it's a male dogman. I know it's different. They would see them different. That's obvious. That's a given. And as far as for men, they would probably see us more like a challenge or a threat in a way. And they would be more hostile, even if it's just 10% more than a woman. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that could be a lot for us humans. We don't know how much power they would have. We know how fast they run, super fast, faster than any human. Kind of like a Flash Gordon kind of speed, and there would be no way escaping that. That's what I think. And like I said, my first reaction would be, holy crap, and I'm gonna kill this thing or it's gonna kill me, so let me run, but it's not gonna be like a peaceful one, like, hey, how are you doing, my name's Carlito, what's your name? I'm not, it's not gonna be that. Now maybe with the Bigfoot it will, because Bigfoot's Bigfoot are known to be more benign than bad, right? And I'm gonna say maybe a 50%. I'm not gonna say more of either or, but just like a 50%. 50% of the encounters they have been good, and 50% bad, right? Like throwing stuff at him, rocks, whatever have you. And I think there's a better chance at a Bigfoot being a good creature and curious, just trying to either communicate with you or leave you alone and let you go about your way. If you leave it alone and let him go about his way, that's what I think.
Yeah, Brian. What about you?
Well, I've seen a Bigfoot, I've seen a dog man, I've seen aliens, I've seen a lot of other. I throw something that looked like the Jersey Devil from a distance, but it wasn't really up close. So I definitely would like to have a better interaction with Bigfoot. And I've had some pretty close calls with him, but more of a, like Carlito was saying, a little bit more of a communication session and, build the confidence up there. Mm-hmm. The one thing I definitely don't want to have anything to do with is man, bear, pig. And that's a sort of South Park, and I just don't want to see man, bear, pig. I just don't. It's not going to work.
My God, that's awesome. South Park, man, bear, pig.
Bear, bear, pig. So that's that. I mean, I really don't like dogmen either, but
What would your reaction be, Brian, with the dogman? I'm curious.
I've had my reaction,
like face to face, 5 foot away from you.
Depends on which type you're talking about. If you're talking about a soldier, it's instant fear. But I don't know what portion of it is from infrasound or their ability to create the fear. They're very, very smart creatures. Very, very smart. They know what they do to us, and they know how to scare us. So I don't know what it would be like. I don't want it. I was close to 5 feet in front of one. But not. It didn't look anything like the the soldier type. It just looked like a really big, would have been probably a social soldier type, but just sitting there. And my experience with it, peeing in front of it because I was urinating, not because I was scared, probably freaked it out, knowing the protocol for dogs. When you urinate, it's an alpha move. Awesome. And they're like, this guy might have a big set of balls on him. Yeah.
Yeah. And was it the German Shepherd head type, or was it the Van Helsing type head type?
Well, I mean, it would definitely look like a
or hyena.
No, it was definitely more canine looking. So, and the canine and the soldier, the only difference is the shears, the size, and the teeth opening up and the drool and whatever. I didn't get any of that, but I knew once it went and disappeared in front of me, it lowered itself, and then it kind of disappeared into the background. That's when I got the goose pimples, and that usually is my cue that something's going to take place that's paranormal or something, you need to react to. And that's when I got into the car, and after Al said, get in the fucking car, Brian, like 9 times, I knew it wouldn't have worked out really, really well there. So, because I challenged it right off the bat.
But I don't think it was expecting you to whip it out when it challenged you. That's not the normal reaction. It's just like,
It's the dominant thing. Like I'm telling that dog, like, you're my, part of the expression, Jess, and I don't mean to disrespect, you're my bitch. In dogs, there's, and that's what it is. And it must have been like, what? I just would love to have heard the conversation when Dogman A went back to the pack and like, you wouldn't believe this. There was this fat guy there, and he's being in front of me. Like, what'd you do, Phil? What'd you do? Well, I lowered myself. I was going to go kill him, but he took off. I think there's also a collective consciousness between that cryptid. Not with Bigfoot as much, but with the Dogman, they seem to all recognize things going around. Yeah, I pee in a lot of encounters, so I drink a lot of caffeine.
There seems to be a normal theme here. Let's just
hey.
Do you ingest a lot of hormones? Pheromones. What are you doing here?
No, it's just I like to leave my mark on an investigation.
Oh my God.
Whatever works.
I mean, yeah, like Anubis would, I wouldn't fear Anubis. Al said Anubis in there. And I would like to, Anubis is the god of the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'd be like, oh wow, this is the guy, Yeah. But this is a lot more, horror film-esque. And I don't need that in my life.
Yeah. Well, so
I agree.
Last words.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica.
Last
words. What is your like we'll do the State of the Union address here. What is Jessica's state of the paranormal union?
Yeah, well, I think that there is definitely an uptick in cryptid sightings and cryptid reports right now. I don't know. I mean, I'm out there doing a lot of research out in the field right now, and I've got a bunch more trips planned in the near future. I think that the world is waking up to all of this. I like to say, like, we're raising the consciousness of our planet and everything, one Bigfoot sighting at a time, because there's so much more. It's almost like it's choreographed, in my opinion, because for the state of the world. You said the State of the Union, right? So I think like the state of the world, all this is like meant to happen at this moment right now, because there is a shift in energy. There's a shift in our vibrational frequency of the planet and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know why I'm here talking about this at this moment, but for whatever reason, I've been called to talk about my experiences and my research. And I think it's to share my story, to help other people to cope with what they've experienced, and to just raise the vibrational frequency of this planet. Dogman, Bigfoot, mermaids, whatever the heck's going on out there, puckwudgies, it all has Goatman. By the way, Goatman is pretty terrifying. So I saw somebody in the chat. I think Laura said something about Goatman. I was like, oh man, that's a good one. I used to go to a place we called Pigman's when I was in high school. And we used to drive out there, and then we'd walk behind this it's like a haunted house. We would get chased out of there by something we call Pigman. And so we got Pigman, Goatman, all these different crazy cryptids. I don't know. I think I was getting chased out by a wild hog, but I can't tell you for sure. I don't know.
Or a moonshiner.
Or a moonshiner, or feral human, I don't know. We don't know.
Awesome.
But I think that everything that's going on in the world right now, all these cryptid sightings, it's meant to be to help raise the consciousness of this planet, I think. So, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Great take on that. All right,
Carlito, your state of the cryptid.
Sure. Okay, sure. I'd just like to address Jessica real quick. By the way, everybody, this is the first time I met Jessica here on a podcast on live. I know she has her podcast. Yes, face to face. I know she has her own podcast, and I've been seeing her for I don't know 2-3 years now. But I just wanted to say nice to meet you, Jessica. Finally,
nice to meet you too.
And you have an awesome nickname, by the way. I love it. The Cryptid Huntress. Love that. That's awesome. And also, I wanted to ask you real quick, Jessica, where can we find your boots on the ground investigations? Because I know you have a podcast, but I don't know if it's there or you have it somewhere else, maybe Facebook or something.
Well, I'm on 3 different teams, and 2 of my teams, we keep our research private. Okay. And I have one team where you can find all of our research. Okay. And that is Anomalous Studies and Observation Group. The head of my team is Trey Hudson. He's written a book about our research called The Meadow Project, Explorations into the South Skinwalker Ranch. And you can find all that there. I do have my YouTube channel, The Cryptid Huntress, where I do post videos on site of interviews of my teammates and things like that on site at the Meadow and different places like that. So you can find that at The Cryptid Huntress over there on YouTube. And I have a website, thecryptidhuntress.com. My all that Instagram. It's the Cryptid Huntress. Y'all can find me wherever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, so now I will address my closing comment. I think overall, and I think we're all agreeing on this. There's been a lot more encounters now, because I think on my opinion, I think there's a lot more better technology now. That's one. Another thing is that the frequencies are being raised, and that's why there's a lot more encounters now. And I think these creatures are starting to get bolder and coming out more than what they used to. you know, and that's why I think that's why there's a lot more sightings now. Just to, you know, finish this off, and guys, y'all can find me. Y'all know y'all can find me on Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom on Facebook with Tom, Carlito, and Tom on Facebook. You can find me on YouTube, same name, except without the Carlito and Tom. It's just Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom. You can find me on Instagram, Cryptid and Paranormal Kingdom, with all underscores in between each word. And my email is Carlito Cryptid Kingdom @gmail.com. I always forget that. I don't know why. I hate that.
I don't know why that didn't happen.
Thank
but
you.
I did, everybody just catch that.
Yeah.
Subscribed.
Thank you. Thank you, bro.
Sorry to subscribe.
No, it's okay. Thank you.
I was like,
that's cool.
I don't know how the hell that happened. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's kind of embarrassing.
Thank you, Craig, for pulling that up. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for me. I'll hand it over to Brian.
Was this the final word?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't have sexual relations with that Sasquatch.
That was a great impression, by the way.
I'm going to be investigating, doing research.
I don't know. Based off your other encounters with whipping it out, I don't know if we're entitled to believe you.
We see your method, Brian. We see it. It's effective, apparently.
We do. I mean, of course, I do research with the guy that's in there. Vinny Bag of Donuts, Al Sanariga. Knoxville Paranormal.
Squatch Fada.
Yeah, I've been doing, research investigation prior to him, and I'll continue after, just like Al's been doing prior. And there's stuff that we do release to the public. We usually release raw video because we want every one of you to be a paranormal investigator. It helps us out. And if we miss something after seeing the same video 1,000 times, it's really, fresh eyes are our best eyes. And then there are also other moments where we don't release our information to the public, and we have private discussions, and we will discuss with people that we trust and have faith in, and it's kind of like a non-compete type of thing. Like, we're all working for the same thing, but I won't take anybody else's research and pawn it off as my own, and I won't, so it's just a respect factor. We don't always have to release everything. And I'm not here to prove anything I don't want blob squatches or 15 dogmen in a tree. I want real good images or real great video. And I haven't seen much of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kind of my little word on all this too is, I think more people that investigate, they need to focus on the W questions. Who, what, when, where, why. A lot of people don't ask that questions. They'll point out, like, there's 4 creatures back here in this tree, right, but they don't answer the question of why would they be there?
Yeah.
What would be the reason for them being there?
How'd they get
there? Just because you walk out in the woods doesn't mean this is suddenly the destination spot for everything cryptid that shows up in this little patch. Just anything that's in the animal kingdom, there has to be a reason. Food source, interest. There has to be something for them to be there. They're not just going to show up in a tree to be in a tree. It is, so that's what I said. And I think a lot of people that do these things, they don't ask the W questions enough. And I think that's part of the critical thing. It's like, if people want to be a researcher, you've got to ask these questions, and that'll help. It'll help you isolate whether or not, I think it was just a cool blob squatch. It wasn't really something there. It just, because there wouldn't make sense for this creature to be in this one lone tree. There'd be, it's not going to be in the middle of the neighborhood hiding behind the one tree. Can't see me.
Yeah, that usually. You know what? That I want to add to that, Craig. That too, and be careful with not misinterpreting. Like the other day, I showed Brian and Al and all the guys on one of our groups that we were on Messenger called Cryptid Kings, and I showed them a picture of a supposed Sasquatch behind a tree hiding, and it did look like a Sasquatch. You could see, like, even eyes. It was just like this, just staring at the guy real still. And this was video. And then I don't know if it was Brian or Al told me, Carlito, you sure that's not a tree stump, or it could be just anything? Probably just pareidolia.
I think Tommy was talking about it being a diseased tree. I said pareidolia right off the bat. I watched the whole video like 3 times. I'm like,
But didn't it look like one, Brian? And then until you actually made it out being a tree trunk?
So Al wants a donut now. Sorry, Al. Al pointed out that it's really inconclusive because we need a little bit more information from it. And sometimes it's like that. You need a different angle or whatever. But it kind of felt pareidolia because I didn't see anything really moving. Nothing was moving. The camera was moving, but that thing was just still. And I can bring you out to the woods, and it looks like there's eyes in a tree staring at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen it before.
And when your mind, when you start, that guy, he said that thing moved and popped out. Well, we didn't see any of that. So now you got a suggestion I'm going to play, and now you have to break it down.
Yeah.
Suggestibility.
Yeah, suggestibility. That's exactly what I was going to say. What Jessica mentioned before, and and that kind of makes you like, oh yeah, that's what that is or whatever. But no, you got to actually do your own, thinking and your own, exploration or whatever you're looking at. Yeah.
In New York City, we used to just joke that we're being kids. It's like, oh my God, don't do it. You just look up, and before you know
everybody looking up.
Where is he? And then someone look, oh, he's right there.
Yeah. They would see something suggestive. Yeah.
Right. I did something decades ago when I was working at a summer camp. They were playing. They had a DJ and they had Whitney Houston playing. I can't stand Whitney Houston. So these people, oh my God. I'm like, oh, we got to get down there. They're playing Whitney Houston. I'm like, did you hear she died in a train crash? Not a plane crash, a train crash.
Wow.
In a matter of 5 minutes, the entire camp knew Whitney Houston was dead. And then the telephone game played. Yeah, I just heard it on the radio. She died in a plane crash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Now you know who the bullshit artists and who the people that are following along and whatever. And people, you just did that. He said it took 5 minutes to go from a train crash to a plane crash, and then people hearing it on the news, which never happened. War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yep. You're on mute, Craig.
Look at that! I was trying to keep some noise down, and I muted myself. Everybody go support her. That's what I was trying to say. That's what that was. Everybody go support the Cryptid Huntress on YouTube.
Yes.
The Cryptid Paranormal Kingdom, Carlito right there, the North Carolina Cryptid Paranormal Project with Tom Cardos, or his alter ego Thomas. You go support him there. And the same thing, Sir Brian M. Bowden.
I am a Knights
Templar. Yep, the Templar. He is. Go there. Support him as well. He's into the Goblin universe. You can find him on Facebook. He's got a long list about like that long things he's involved in. Yeah. It's definitely check it. Everybody, Spaced Out Radio for Jessica. She's got her show.
Thank you. Every weekend, Saturday and Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spaced Out Radio. And I have live shows on my YouTube channel twice a week too, Wednesday and Thursday. So y'all can check me out. Yeah.
As long as it's not Wednesday at 8 p.m. That's all.
No. My Wednesday show is daytime. It's 1 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, that's
and
fine.
then Thursday is 8 p.m.
Go support it anyway.
I got to be honest.
There's no chance.
Tough show to do. It's a great show. I love the network. I love Dave. I love the fact you're on it, Jessica.
Thank you.
They're on the West Coast, so they're not.
We're on the West. It's late, right?
Well,
yes.
When
I know. Trust me.
3-hour show with Dave, then you get your second wind at 3:00 in the morning. It doesn't make you for the next.
No, listen. Before I had a show there, I was his guest on a show, and I was dying. It was so late. I was up till 3 a.m. and then my adrenaline was pumping, so I was up till 4 a.m. actually.
Exactly.
So.
And then
that's why I feel bad.
The kids are going.
And I had to work the next day. And take my
kids. I feel bad. Yeah, every time we interview somebody from the UK, I feel terrible. They're up at like 1, 2 in the morning, trying to do the show, and I'm just like, So it's nice having
time zones.
Yeah. Well, everybody, like I said, thanks again. Ert Radio, proud sponsor of the show.
Yeah, hey, Ron.
Awesome.
Yeah, go to Mixler.com. Set up your account there. Follow. You can listen to the great lineup of shows he's got there, along with music. I had it popped in my head. It's like, we need to get some of his on-air talent to come up with some playlists for him that he could play there too.
Yeah,
I met Ron when I had a show at KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I've been on Ron's show before. So hey, Ron.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he was. I think he actually said it. Yep, there, right there.
He did.
Ron's on there.
It was a long time ago, like almost a year and a half, 2 years ago. So long ago.
Yes, and I definitely right there. Thanks, Curly. Make sure to like, subscribe, share.
Yes.
Just a little I'm going to put them up on the screen here. Chris, Country Boy Cryptids. There's going to be 3 bearded people that are going to show up to that show tomorrow night to be on there with him. So we're going to be on there to celebrate May the 4th,
Awesome.
Star Wars Day.
Awesome.
So, Star Wars nerdism is going to fly.
Oh, May the 4th be with you guys.
Yes, May the 4th, and then Friday is Revenge of the 5th. So, yeah, so that's how.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Then you get margaritas the next day. That's my favorite.
So for everybody, enjoy Cinco de Mayo. Go enjoy that Corona product.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody that wants to do some research, you might know what I'm referring to. Cinco de Mayo and Corona.
Yeah, go hand in hand. Yes, absolutely.
So everybody, like I said, thanks for watching, and go support everybody. Appreciate it, Jessica, Carlito, Tom, Sir. Chris. Hope you're feeling better. Once again, that APB, that reward is out for sightings of the ginger squatch. So go find him. We're still looking for him. You got a brief picture of him on the milk carton. So
absolutely. Hey, Chris, can I put a little pause in there? Yeah. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel. If anybody out there is willing to help a guy out, and you can go out there and subscribe and help me try to reach that 1,000 mark as soon as possible, I would really, really kindly, appreciate your help. Okay. That's all I wanted to add there, Craig.
You got one at least tonight. Okay?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know why that. I don't know why that group was such a slacker and hadn't signed on yet. It's like we just met you, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody. Well, have a great night. We will see you next week for another show, and see if I can come up with another controversial photograph.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that was a photo. So, I do it. It's the get people to It's provocative. It gets the people going. That's what we do it for. So, all right, everybody, have a great night. We will see you next week.
Good night.
Appreciate you coming on. Thank
Bye,
you.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Bye, Jess.
Good night.
Bye, guys.